seemed like they might be blown away and be dashed to bits against the cobblestones. And yet, Josephine Marie Cavendish, her Grace, the Duchess of Durham, was made of strong stuff, like steel or granite or glaciers. Her gaze was sharp and missed nothing. Her wits were sharper. She was also graceful, elegant, and unfailingly polite and proper at every hour of the day. The Duchess knew every person one needed to know, and everyone in London seemed to fear her. One did not call her Josie. Amelia had asked and was treated to a frosty, "One does not." The Duchess also had the sort of indomitable will that could command armies. Amelia would have adored her if she weren't so vexed by her most of the time. The Cavendish siblings, James, Claire, Bridget, and Amelia, newly arrived from America, were Josephine's army. Her mission? To find husbands for each of the girls, and to ensure that James, the new Duke, settled into his role, wed, and had an heir, thus securing the dukedom for another generation. Her one impossibly insubordinate foot soldier, Amelia. The Duchess had a sharp mind, but so did Amelia. The Duchess had very firm opinions, but by God, so did Amelia. The Duchess was accustomed to having her way, and as the youngest sibling, so was Amelia. In order to potentially find a fleeting moment of amusement, Amelia decided to obey the Duchess's command to smile. She stretched her features into a grin, designed to be more comedic than pleasant. It only deepened with genuine amusement when some poncy, overstuffed lord caught a glimpse, dropped his jaw, and turned away. "Ha!" "You look like a gargoyle," James said, laughing. With merely a glance, the Duchess conveyed that dukes did not intimate a resemblance between young ladies and hideous creatures. Perhaps try smiling a bit less, Lady Amelia." Amelia did her best impression of a simpering English lady. She'd had plenty of occasions to practice the vacant smile, letting her eyes cross ever so slightly while swaying delicately on her feet, which were presently tormented by these tremendously uncomfortable slippers. Perhaps she could slip them off under her dress and no one would notice. She carefully slid one foot out, then the other, and smiled at the relief of being able to wiggle her toes and feel her feet flat on the floor. "Much better," the Duchess murmured. "Now, let us take another turn about the room." "Ah, Lady Nansen, Lord Nansen." The Duchess and her charges paused before a couple that looked just like all the others Amelia had been introduced to. They were of an indeterminate middle age, decked in an array of brightly colored silks and satins, and honestly a bit jowly and grey. "I haven't yet introduced you to my nephew and nieces." "And we've been dying to make that acquaintance," Lady Nansen said, fanning herself furiously. "The ton has spoken of nothing else." The Duchess performed the introductions. Upon meeting James, the new Duke, fawning ensued. Everyone fawned over James these days, but when his back was turned they whispered about how his father was a horse thief, and that James had been raised in the stables, and how tragic it was that Durham was now in his hands. "And Lady Claire?" Amelia watched as they took in Claire's spectacles and her distracted, impatient demeanor. She had not mastered the slightly vacant look of a simpering miss, and with a brain as sharp as hers never would. Amelia watched as Lady Nansen decided that Claire would never be an incomparable, or whatever they called the popular girls of the temps, and flitted her attention to the next sister. "Lady Bridget." Amelia watched as her middle sister glided into an elegant curtsy. The Duchess beamed. Lady Nansen judged. "Your practicing is paying off," Amelia murmured. She'd caught Bridget curtsying in front of the mirror in the ballroom for an hour last Thursday. "Do shut up, Amelia," Bridget said through gritted teeth. Unlike the other Cavendish siblings, Bridget actually cared about fitting in here. She was obsessed with learning and following the rules. "And Lady Amelia." She gave a smile somewhere between gargoyle and simpering miss, but perhaps more on the gargoyle side of the spectrum. "You must have your hands full, Duchess, trying to make so many matches. It does give one something to do."